Married for half a year, I still don't have the right to open the door to my own house. My husband said the lock was being repaired. I believed him. Until Valentine's Day, when I discovered my in-laws and sister-in-law all had keys to my apartment. I stayed quiet, didn't expose that lie, until the day he desperately begged me. If you've ever been in a relationship where the door seems to open only one way, stick around to hear the rest of this story. Before continuing, hit subscribe, because this isn't just about a door, it's about the limits women often set for themselves. Valentine's Day this year fell on a Tuesday. My boss, David, with his silver beard and rare smile, suddenly felt generous and announced the whole office could leave early to enjoy the holiday. I grabbed my handbag, squeezed into the elevator down to the garage, heart light like a kid getting out of school early. The car purred smoothly over the Brooklyn Bridge. The radio played an old version of My Funny Valentine, and I smiled, thinking I'd cook truffle mushroom risotto, Ethan's favorite dish, then curl up with him for some cheesy rom-com. At the front door, it suddenly hit me. I couldn't open it. I'd come home too early. The system hadn't registered me yet. I was about to wander over to the Starbucks on the corner to wait for him to get off work when loud EDM music blasted from the crack in the door. My heart skipped. Maybe Ethan got off early too. I rang the doorbell repeatedly, giddy like a kid waiting for a gift. The door opened. Not Ethan. It was Megan Carter, my sister-in-law, in tight neon workout clothes, hair pulled into a high ponytail, scowling like I'd interrupted her mid-squat. She glanced me up and down, didn't bother to say hi, just huffed and turned sharply into the living room. On the TV, a workout video bounced along, the trainer yelling, "One more rep!" Megan's white Nike Air Force Ones, brand new, were on the floor, still tagged at $180, the same pair I had just unboxed yesterday. I stood frozen at the door. Megan kept dancing to the music, sweat on her brow, as if I were the intruder here. "You dropped by unannounced? Did Mom come with you?" I tried to sound polite, even though my throat tightened. Megan stopped mid-rep, spun around, her eyes blazing. "Unannounced? This is my brother's house. I come and go as I please. What, I need your permission now?" Her voice was sharp as a razor, each word cutting the air. I was speechless. For the past 6 months, I'd grown used to Megan's passive-aggressive tone, like the whole world owed her an apology. Ethan always said, "She only feels close to family, don't take it personally." Close? She'd never once smiled at me. Not wanting to argue, I turned to head into the bedroom. A quick glance at the coffee table stopped me cold. The limited edition Valentine's snack pack I ordered from Amazon, still sealed this morning, was now torn open, red Oreo cookie crumbs everywhere, melted Lindt chocolate smeared across the oak coffee table Ethan was so proud to have bought at an antique fair. Every time Megan came over, it was like this. She raided the fridge, the shoe rack, grabbed whatever she fancied, never once asked, and left behind a battlefield for me to clean. I was scanning the room, trying to swallow my anger, when my eyes stopped at a small object on the table. An August key fob, shiny black silver logo, dangling from a baby pink teddy bear keychain. My heart dropped. Ethan had bragged, "Top of the line smart lock. Only allows 2 admins, me and Mom." But this key clearly didn't belong to his mother. "What are you staring at?" Megan snapped, her shrill voice louder than the music. "You mad about some snacks?" "This is my brother's house. His stuff is mine too. I eat what I want." She stormed over, snatched the key fob from my hand, stuffed it into her bag. Her eyes flashed with panic for a split second, just enough for me to notice. "You're way too nosy. Didn't anyone teach you not to touch other people's things?" My chest felt like it was sinking under rocks. I was about to ask more, but the front door opened again. My father-in-law, Henry Carter, walked in, cashmere coat dusted with melting snowflakes. He looked startled to see me, blinking rapidly like a broken camera. In a split second, he pulled his hand out of his pocket, the gleam of a key fob under the chandelier, tied with a bright red string, nothing like the kind my mother-in-law would ever use. He quickly shoved it back in, forced a smile. "Susan, you're home early." His voice cracked like an actor forgetting his lines. Blood rushed to my face. The feeling of being deceived by the entire Carter family, of being treated like a threat, wrapped around me like a noose. I bit my lip until it burned. "Yes, Dad, just got home." Pretending I saw nothing, I headed quickly to the bedroom and shut the door. The EDM music still thumped outside, Megan's voice giggling with her dad, sweeter than I'd ever heard her sound with me. I closed my eyes, breath ragged. This Valentine's Day, it turned out, the biggest gift I received was the truth. In this house, I was the only one without the right to unlock the door. Hot tears rolled down my cheeks, dripping onto the collar of the silk blouse I'd carefully picked out this morning, thinking tonight would be romantic. Turns out, it wasn't just Ethan and my mother-in-law who had a key. My father-in-law had one. Megan had one. Half a year into this marriage, in this house, the only person without access was the wife. I slumped onto the edge of the bed, gripping my phone tightly. The lock screen was still our wedding photo, Ethan smiling brightly, arms around my waist, framed by a cloud of pure white baby's breath. Ridiculous. No one would believe it if I said it out loud. The wife who doesn't have a key to her own home. I replayed every memory, like an old film in slow motion. After the honeymoon, I noticed Ethan never brought up giving me a key, so I asked. He shrugged. "There are only two left. One's mine, the other's Mom's. The rest, all got lost." I naively replied, "Then get another one made for me." He nodded enthusiastically, eyes lighting up. "Of course I'll take care of it." 3 days, a week, nothing. When I reminded him a second time, he sighed, sat on the couch, and stroked my hair. This model's really high-end. I'm still looking around, I didn't buy it. I took a photo of the QR code, went hunting through Best Buy, Apple Store, finally found a shop in Queens. Excited, I showed him the text message. "I found it." They said they can duplicate it. Ethan read the message, and his face darkened. "That's dangerous, babe." "Places like that? Our home won't be safe." I got frustrated and suggested, "Then let's just change the lock altogether." He looked startled, eyes wide. "That's $10,000. Once you take it off, it's ruined. What a waste." When I stayed silent, he tried to console me. "How about I give you mine?" I shook my head. His office was only 15 minutes away. He always got home half an hour before me. If he gave me his, then he'd be the one locked out. I swallowed the anger, let the matter hang. My mother-in-law knew. One Saturday afternoon, she came by with a Trader Joe's bag in hand, smiling gently. "Susan, honey, I don't work anymore. I'm home helping keep the place tidy. You'll always have someone to open the door for you. Why would you need a key fob?" She took my hand, warm but firm. I was speechless, forced to smile. "Yes, that makes sense." And just like that, the smart lock situation was buried. 6 months passed like a velvet-wrapped version of hell on repeat. The issue of not having the right to open the front door continued to make my life ridiculously inconvenient. My mother-in-law often dropped by, claiming she came to take care of us, but in reality, every morning she headed out to the community center for line dancing, played bingo in the afternoon, and only came home in time for dinner. Most days when I got off work and came home, the place was empty. So if my husband worked late or had something come up, I'd end up stuck outside the apartment hallway waiting. On weekends, when I was home alone, I didn't even dare go down to grab Amazon deliveries, afraid the door might close behind me and I'd be locked out. Summer was bearable, but around February and March, when it dropped to -10 degrees Celsius, I once caught a cold from standing out there too long. One time, I had to pee so bad, I knocked on the first-floor management office, face burning. "Could I borrow the restroom for a minute?" The old security guard looked at me with pity and handed over the staff bathroom key. Michael saw me waiting outside so many times he started to feel bad, gently suggested, "Why don't you swing by Costco after work? Kill some time, grab some cheap fresh food, too." With the pressure of house and car payments, I said yes. But more often than not, I'd be back from shopping with bags in hand, and he still wouldn't be home. One night, I waited until 9 p.m. before Michael finally came back. Blazer wrinkled, faint scent of alcohol. Seeing me curled up outside, he immediately dropped to his knees, speaking softly. "I'm so sorry, the meeting dragged on." Then he took all the bags, cooked, washed the dishes, did laundry, even massaged my feet on the floor until I fell asleep. As long as his mom wasn't around, he'd willingly be the human punching bag for my frustration. And just like that, the anger would melt like soap bubbles. I knew I was being weak. Michael was my first love. He's 6'1", brown eyes, deep, warm voice. When we first met at a coffee shop, he paid for my latte when my card got declined. 3 months of dating, married in 6. My parents told me, "Sweetheart, finding a good man is rare. Just put up with a few things." So I did. I put up with it to the point I actually believed we were building a cozy home for two. Now, standing in the bedroom, I look at the house contract on the table. 50% of the down payment came from our joint account. The other 50% we're paying off together from both our salaries. And yet, I don't have the right to open the door. I opened my laptop and typed an anonymous post. I just wanted to see what people thought. Was this actually normal? Or was I just being petty, overthinking everything? I thought no one would notice a brand new account. Just an anonymous post, a few lines about the smart lock story. But within 30 minutes, the comments exploded. The numbers jumped so fast, I had to blink several times to believe it. Over 1,000 comments, tens of thousands of upvotes. The phone screen lit up the dark room, casting a pale blue glow on my blurred reflection. Married women really do know how to endure. Classic mother-in-law versus daughter-in-law war, huh? How did you even survive 6 months like this? I'm losing my mind just reading it. If you're not planning to divorce, what's the point of posting? The internet has its limits too, you know. If I were you, I'd call a locksmith and smash that smart lock. Then I'd be the only one with access. And amid the thousands of fiery replies, one comment made me sit still for a long time. "Hey girl, you're still a newlywed. You haven't realized it yet. This is how he sets the rules. Trust me, this won't be the only thing they're hiding." I kept staring at that sentence, like someone had pulled back a curtain inside my head. The smart lock thing had just made me feel cold inside. But after reading that, I started remembering all the little details, all the seemingly insignificant things that, in hindsight, all carried the same scent: control. Like the time we renovated the new place. Back then, we had just paid off the apartment, and my mother-in-law offered to stay and oversee the work, telling us to just focus on our jobs. I was touched. Thought I'd lucked out with a good mother-in-law. A month later, I came back from a work trip, opened the door, and didn't even recognize my own apartment. The white walls were painted beige. The open kitchen turned into a closed one. The professional design we paid for had been completely erased. I sighed to my husband. My mother-in-law teared up. "Sweetheart, I'm old." Those blueprints made my eyes spin. I saw a neighbor's place done like this and told the workers to follow that style. The neighbors were a 60-something couple. Their habits, lighting preferences, aesthetic, everything was different. But I stayed silent. We weren't married yet, and I didn't want to cause conflict. Then came the furniture. I had made plans to go shopping with Michael on the weekend. But when I came home, everything was already there. Dark brown furniture, floral green curtains, pink lacy bedding. Our modern minimalist apartment looked like a throwback rental from an 80s drama. I stood in the living room, breathing deep to stop myself from crying. My mother-in-law rushed to explain, "I just wanted to surprise you. The store downstairs had a 50% off sale, and I thought the style matched our home, so I bought it. I didn't think you'd hate it." Watching her cry, I softened. I thought, well, she paid for it. It's her gift. But that evening, during dinner, Michael slipped up. Mom told me to transfer the money early to catch the deal. I froze. So the furniture was paid for by him, by us. Megan, my sister-in-law, added casually, "You two live here. Who else is going to pay for the furniture?" Her words were like a fine, sharp blade. I forced a smile and swallowed it all. 3 days after the wedding, my mother-in-law moved in with her luggage. She smiled warmly. "Don't worry, I'm just staying for a bit to cook and clean for you two." I believed her. Until the next morning, Megan rolled in with her suitcase too. The guest room I thought was going to be the nursery turned out to be Megan's room. It was painted pink, with string lights, a study desk, a laptop, everything already set up. I stood at the doorway, breath caught in my throat. Megan saw my face and snapped, "Who are you making that face at?" "This is my brother's house. He paid half. Why shouldn't I live here? He always said, there's always a room for his little sister." I turned to Michael, hoping he'd say something, anything. He just gave a sheepish smile and pulled me into our room. "Don't be mad. She's a student, just lives in a dorm. Only comes home on weekends. If we don't let her stay, she'll throw a fit. Think of it as buying a little piece." I asked quietly, "But what about when we have kids? Where will they sleep?" He hugged me, smiling softly. "Don't worry. When they're little, they'll sleep with us. By the time they're older, Megan will be married and gone. The room will be free." His voice was gentle, like he was calming a child. And I, the newlywed wife, believed him. Even my own mother said, "Just put up with it for now, honey. Don't make a big deal." So I did. I endured to keep the peace. I endured until it became normal to stand outside the very door of the apartment I was helping to pay off. Thankfully, Megan later moved away for school and didn't visit often. I thought the storm had passed. But now, thinking back, even someone who only stopped by on weekends had a key, and the lady of the house didn't. All those seemingly small details now string together into a tightening noose. A marriage that guards itself against me from the inside out. What's left in it worth keeping? I sat staring at the phone screen, unable to stop the tears from falling. Each comment felt like a cold knife slicing through the layers of disguise I'd wrapped around myself. Someone wrote, "You're not weak. You've just gotten too used to being overlooked." I let out a laugh that cracked like a sob. I typed a short reply. "Thank you all. I've read every single comment." Just 6 words. But it was the first time I'd spoken from the heart after months of silence. I thought that was the end of it. That I'd turn off my phone, take a shower, try to forget everything. But less than a minute later, my phone buzzed. A private message from a stranger popped up. The message came from an anonymous account. The display name simply Vera L. Her profile picture was a white rose with a snapped stem. She wrote, "Girl, it's clear you're the gentle, easy to push around type. Listen to me. Don't divorce just yet. That would be too easy for them." I read it once, then twice. Then the following messages rolled in one after another. "Stay calm. You don't have access to the house, right? Then stop cooking, stop serving, go shopping, eat out, spend freely. If you like clothes, bags, jewelry, buy them. Eat whatever you want. Spend your husband's money. Enjoy it. If he dares to complain, just sigh and say, 'I couldn't get into the house,' and see what he does about it. The point is, strip him bare first, then divorce later. Who knows, you might discover more surprises." And finally, one chilling line made me shiver. "Oh, and delete that post. Algorithms are smart now. What if someone in his family sees it?" I kept rereading the stranger's message. I don't know why, but in the -10 degrees Celsius night, each word felt like fire, slipping into my chest, igniting the frustration I'd been burying for months. Maybe divorce really would be a release, but the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I'd endured so much humiliation, and what about them? They got to keep living, eating, laughing in a house I paid half for. If I walked away, all they had to do was lock the door and pretend I never existed. I pictured my mother-in-law shrugging and saying to someone, "It's nothing. Just tell Michael to get the girl a new key fob," they'd all laugh, and dinner would go on. The image made me grip my phone so tightly, my knuckles turned white. If they thought I was gentle, easy to appease, then fine, I'd stay that way. The only difference was, this time, I'd play by my rules. I hid the post, washed my face, dried my tears in the mirror, and tried to fix my expression like nothing had happened. The face staring back at me was still Susan. Gentle smile, soft eyes. I took a deep breath, opened the door, and stepped into the living room. My father-in-law and Megan were sprawled across the sofa, eyes glued to their phones, laughter mixing with video sounds. Just as I stepped out, the front door opened. As expected, my mother-in-law. She turned the key and walked in like it was her own house, not bothering to knock. The hallway light cast a glossy sheen across the floor, and her shadow stretched long, stronger than anything I'd ever had in this home. "Is it dinner time yet? I had such good luck today. Won several rounds of bingo," she said, cheerfully unwinding her scarf as she walked straight to the kitchen. But when she saw the kitchen untouched, stove cold, pots empty, utensils dry, she froze for half a second. I saw the flicker of confusion cross her face before she forced a gentle smile. "Susan, what's for dinner tonight, dear?" "It's rare we're all here. That beef hot pot you made the other day was so good, I'm still craving it." I smiled, voice steady. "Mom, I'm a bit tired. My boss let me off early, so I didn't get to swing by Costco. Maybe when Michael gets home, we can go out to eat." My tone was even, not a tremble in it. My sister-in-law didn't even look up, voice sharp. "You were perfectly fine in the room earlier. How long have you been slacking off now to suddenly say you're tired?" I looked at her, still calmly. "But you're working out so hard. You're in better shape than I am. Why don't you cook tonight?" Megan scoffed, eyes still glued to her phone. "Different story. I've never done housework in my life. You're the wife. It's your job." Her voice was cold, crisp, like a needle jabbing a half-healed wound. I pressed my lips together, trying to hold back the trembling in my chest. "Okay, stop arguing," my mother-in-law cut in, voice soft, but her eyes never left the fridge. "If Susan's tired today, let her rest. She still has work tomorrow. Eating out isn't hygienic anyway. I'll cook." I stood still, watching her bend down to rummage through the fridge. Glass jars clinked. She pulled out God knows how old dried meat and leftover sausages, laid them out on the counter, muttering, "Just something simple. Don't want it to go to waste." I watched, throat tight. Dinner went on like usual. 4 people, 1 table, them chatting and laughing away. I sat silently, picking at a few cold greens, the taste flat as water. Their conversations flew past me, never touching me. No one asked me anything. No one even acknowledged I was there. Even Michael, when he got home, didn't notice anything different. He set down his briefcase, kissed my cheek out of habit, and jumped right into their stories, laughing as he talked about work. I washed the dishes, listening to them talk about vacations, about Megan's upcoming job offer. Nothing that had anything to do with me. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I casually asked, "Hey, why did we lose the key fob?" "It's kind of important, isn't it?" Michael was just crawling into bed, but froze for a moment, blinked, then smiled. "Oh, back then Mom was worried it'd get lost, so she kept it safe, probably forgot where she put it. Old people, you know, it happens. Hey, honey, you're not still thinking about that smart lock, are you? It's been half a year. We've been doing fine, haven't we?" Doing fine. He said it in that same soothing tone one uses to calm a child from a nightmare. I looked at him, the man I once loved with everything in me, still able to lie so effortlessly. No hesitation, no change in tone. When I stayed silent, Michael Carter, as usual, pulled me into an embrace, trying to use intimacy to make it all go away. I gently turned my back to him and whispered, "I'm tired." The nightlight clicked off. The room went dark, with only the city lights slipping through the curtains. The next morning, I still went to work like usual. My black coffee sat in its usual corner of the desk, emails still overflowing with deadlines. Only difference was, in my mind, a new plan had taken shape. Gentle, discreet, and completely legal. After work, I didn't go home. I did exactly what Vera suggested. Called my best friend and went shopping. Michael had once acted generous by letting me keep his credit card. I stepped into the mall, warm lights glowing on the polished floors, reflecting my figure in a plain office blouse. The shop assistant handed me a brand new dress. I tried it on, twirled softly in front of the mirror. It had been a long time since I'd smiled at my reflection like that. I swiped the card. The short beep was crisp, like an answer in itself. Less than 30 minutes later, I stopped by the imported cosmetics counter and picked out a serum I'd hesitated to buy for months. Second swipe. Not even a full minute passed before my phone buzzed. A text from Michael. "Honey, what's got you in the mood for shopping today?" I smiled faintly and replied, "You said you'd be working late this week, and I can't even get into the house, so I went out with a friend." "Oh, and I'm not having dinner at home tonight. Can you let Mom know for me?" A few minutes later, he texted back, "Okay, honey, have fun shopping." Of course I will, I thought, fingertips brushing a receipt nearly half the length of my arm. Turns out the internet was right. Happiness can be surprisingly easy once you stop overthinking. I took my best friend to an $800 a head seafood buffet. The restaurant lights reflected off our wine glasses, bubbles sparkling, the briny sweetness of scallops melting on my tongue. Just after paying, another message arrived. "Babe, it's 9 already and you're still eating? Want me to come pick you up?" I typed quickly, "No need, it's still early. I can get home myself." I ordered an Uber, staring out the window as the city blurred past. I didn't know whether Michael was upset seeing the credit card transactions, but me, I felt lighter. As soon as I got home, he rushed out to hug me. "Honey, why Uber? Why not take the train?" I replied casually, "Too much walking." My feet hurt. "What, are you worried about the money?" He laughed awkwardly. "Of course not. Just don't stay out so late next time. It's not safe." I smiled faintly. "Sure, got it." Then I walked past him, took off my shoes, hung up my coat, as if the air between us had never held a single lie. The next day, I repeated it. A different mall, different lighting, and a different woman in the mirror. Still me, but no longer hollow-eyed. I bought 3 handbags, 3 pairs of shoes, a high-end spa treatment, and casually paid for a $20,000 membership. Lunch was at a well-known restaurant, the food arranged on pristine white porcelain, fresh flowers on the table. I snapped a picture and sent it to my best friend with the caption, "Freedom smells expensive." I hadn't even left the checkout counter when my phone rang. Michael. His voice was still gentle, trying to stay calm. "Sweetheart, out shopping again today?" I replied naturally. "Yeah, my friend just got dumped. Needed some cheering up." "Why?" "Oh, nothing, I just miss you. Wanted you to come home early," I laughed softly. "But aren't you working overtime?" Even if I came back early, I couldn't get inside. And she really needs someone to talk to tonight, silence on the other end. I could hear his breathing. Then I casually added, "By the way, your credit card still has a $10,000 limit, right?" His voice stumbled. "Yeah, but we've still got the mortgage, the car payments. Using too much is kinda stressful, babe." He quickly added, "So maybe come home a bit earlier tonight, yeah?" "I'll come home early too. Mom already cooked." I narrowed my eyes and answered gently, "That won't work. We made the reservation ages ago and canceling would cost us." "Let's talk later." I hung up, smiling. In my head, I pictured him sitting in front of his screen, staring at the stream of credit card charges, face flushing, unable to say a word. That feeling, I thought, might be worth more than every bill I'd just signed. After dinner, my friend dragged me to a newly opened bar. Music pounded, bass blending with the laughter of strangers. I had a few drinks, not enough to get drunk, just enough to feel the weight lift, like shedding invisible chains. Near midnight, I called a car home. Michael was waiting by the door, face pale. "You're just now getting back," he snapped, voice raised. He launched into a rant, tone like gunfire. I only smiled, shook my head, the alcohol making my eyes shimmer more than usual. "My friend's heartbroken," I said airily. "Just had a few drinks, no big deal." He clenched his fists, trying to stay calm. I bent down, slipped off my shoes, set my luxury bag on the shelf, and walked straight into the bedroom. No argument, no explanation. Just left behind the scent of a new perfume, the kind that, from now on, every time he smells it, will remind him how I started spending his money the same way he spent my trust. The next day, before work was even over, my phone rang. Michael's name flashed on the screen. It was the first time in days he'd called me first. "Babe, can you come home early today? I'm not working late anymore. It's been days since we've had dinner together. Maybe you could swing by Costco and grab some beef. I've been craving your beef stew." His voice was soft, pretending like nothing had happened. I tilted my head slightly, glanced at the clock, then answered slowly. "Oh? Why didn't you say something earlier?" I figured even if I got home early, I couldn't get in anyway. So I already made plans with two coworkers to see a movie. Canceling now would be awkward silence on the other end. He paused for a few seconds, then changed tone. "Well, just don't stay out too late after the movie, okay?" "It's not safe," I smiled. After hanging up, I immediately booked 4 VIP luxury cinema tickets, the kind with reclining leather seats and food service. Once I'd paid, I put my phone on silent and tossed it in my purse, letting the world ring all it wanted. I wanted to feel what it was like to be a free woman, even if just temporarily. Late that night, I unlocked the front door and stepped inside. Michael and his mother were sitting stiffly on the couch, faces dark like a brewing storm. "What's wrong with you?" I called. "You didn't pick up, didn't reply to my texts." His voice was no longer gentle, sharp, tight, like it could snap any second. I feigned surprise, took off my coat, and smiled. "Oh, sorry, babe. My phone died. I told you I was going to the movies, remember? Just got out, now I pulled out the tickets and placed them on the table." Michael fell silent, lips pressed tight. His anger looked ready to explode at the tiniest spark. My mother-in-law stood up. Her tone started sweet, but ended with steel. "Susan, I'm old, and I know I shouldn't interfere with young couples, but you need to understand. You're a married woman now. After work, you should be coming home, not gallivanting around like some single girl. What kind of family could live with that?" I gave a cold smile and looked her straight in the eye. "Oh, but I used to wander around outside the building after work all the time, didn't I? Wasn't that because I couldn't get into the house? One night I even waited until midnight for Michael to come home from overtime. Funny, no one said anything about that." The air turned thick. The two of them exchanged glances, faces draining of color. Michael quickly shifted tone, trying to smooth things over. "I'm not saying you can't go out. I just want to see you after work, that's all. Come home early, have dinner with me, yeah?" I nodded with a bright smile, as if there had never been a fight between us. "Sure. If you'd said so earlier, I would have come right away. See how good I am?" Seeing me, cooperative, my mother-in-law softened too, a forced smile returning to her lips. That night, I slept soundly. And the next morning, I carried on like nothing happened. By late afternoon, 2 hours before the end of my shift, Michael called again. "Babe, can you come home early today? The forecast says it's going to pour, and Mom's not available. She said you should go home first and bring in the laundry from the balcony." I blinked, trying not to laugh. "But I don't have access to the house. How can I get in?" Silence. I could practically hear him swallowing. A few seconds later, Michael's voice came back hoarse. "Mom's at the bingo hall near the gate." You could stop by there and borrow the key fob to get in. I replied immediately, voice calm. I don't think that'll work. I didn't bring an umbrella. If it rains hard, I'll just wait until it clears up before heading back. Or maybe ask Mom to come home and bring in the laundry before the rain hits. I paused, then casually added, "Oh, and by the way, there's a massive birthday blowout sale at the mall near my office. Crazy good deals." Before he could respond, I ended the call. As expected, before I could even complete my first transaction, the credit card was declined. I looked at the screen and smiled faintly. I pulled out the joint card instead, swiped it smoothly. The receipt still printed out just fine, and the spending notifications still went straight to his phone, like a reminder that couldn't be muted. By the time I was carrying my third shopping bag, Michael couldn't take it anymore. He stormed into the mall, shirt damp with sweat, breath short and sharp. I pretended to be surprised, said a few words to my coworker, then turned to him with a bright grin, like we'd bumped into each other at a coffee shop. "You came to pick me up?" "That's sweet," he forced a smile, but the veins on his forehead were bulging, his hands clenched tight. The entire ride home, he said nothing. I rolled down the window and let the wind blow in. When we pulled up to the house, I knew something was off. The front door opened to a fully lit living room. His father, mother, and sister all sat stiffly, like a tribunal. Michael inhaled deeply and followed behind me. The silence was so sharp, I could hear the clock ticking. I set down my bags, looked at the three of them, and offered a calm smile. "Full house today. What's the occasion?" No one answered. Their eyes bore into me like I was on trial in a family courtroom. I looked at each one of them, slowly took off my new shoes, slipped off my coat, and sat down in the chair across from them. Megan flipped her hair and tilted her chin. "Oh, wow. Susan came home early today? Guess my brother's hard-earned money is all going straight into your shopping bags now." My father-in-law sipped his tea, his voice low and trying to sound gentle. "Susan, let me be honest with you. Once you're married, you should stay grounded. No matter how fun the world outside is, nothing beats the warmth of home." I let out a soft sigh, smiling like I just had an epiphany. "You're absolutely right. No amount of luxury compares to the comfort of your own home. It's just that I get off early, and Michael often works late. If I don't kill time somewhere, I'd probably get depressed just waiting outside the door every evening." The air hung for a beat. The three of them exchanged glances. My mother-in-law gave a strained smile, her sugar-coated tone barely hiding the sting beneath. "But sweetie, that still doesn't mean you should be spending money like that." Megan rolled her eyes, tapping her freshly painted nails against her phone case. "What kind of wife doesn't even show up at home most days?" I feigned a look of revelation. "You're right. This really is serious." Just then, my mother-in-law cut in, offering to stay home from now on to wait for me. I nodded obediently. The three of them exchanged another glance. I lowered my head to hide a smile. How ridiculous. They'd rather let me burn money outside than hand me a key. The next day after work, I didn't go to the mall, didn't go to the spa, didn't hit the bar. I wore soft sneakers and took a long walk around the apartment complex. I greeted the doorman first, then asked the building manager about the bougainvillea in the courtyard, helped an elderly lady push her cart up the stairs. I spoke just loud enough, friendly enough, for those nosy ears nearby to accidentally overhear. "Our place is just average, really. But I get home early and can't get in, so thank goodness for everyone here chatting with me. It makes the cold evenings easier." An hour later, that breeze carried my story down every hallway and pinged into every neighborhood group chat. Rolling laugh stickers, angry face emojis, a few "OMG, can you believe it?" All of it. By the time the garden lights turned amber, I strolled back upstairs, right as Michael got home. Seeing me well-behaved, home early, hands washed, setting the table, my mother-in-law's face softened instantly. Dinner was ready. Michael lowered his tone, too, probably thinking I'd cooled off from the past few days. I sat down, picked up a piece of broccoli, and listened to the clinking of utensils like the rhythm of an old familiar song. But this time, that song had a new background beat. Fresh gossip whispering through the building's group chats, humming like a high-strung wire. By the next evening's dinner, the gossip had evolved into a full-blown statement. The Carters mistreat their daughter-in-law, won't even give her a key, force her to stand outside every night. The pot lid clattered as my mother-in-law dropped it. My father-in-law choked on his water. Megan dropped her usual sneer, eyes wide. Who made that up? Michael's face darkened, and he turned to me. Susan, what did you say to people? Are you still hung up on the smart lock thing and trying to cause trouble? I've told you 100 times. There are only 2 keys. Mom comes in and out every day. It's not practical without access. Look, if you really need one, I'll give you mine. I don't mind, his mother snapped upright, eyes glaring, signaling sharply. No! You're the man of the house. If you don't have key access, what kind of example does that set? This time Michael was really annoyed. His jaw twitched, but he ignored her, turned back to me, and softened his tone. Don't blow this out of proportion. It's not a big deal. I've got a management interview coming up, and after that, there's a background check. If someone starts sniffing around this neighborhood and hears some stupid rumor, it could ruin everything. I pinched my thigh under the table, just enough pain to bring tears to the surface. I looked up, letting the light reflect a shimmer into the corners of my eyes, the kind of tears my mother-in-law loved using as her weapon. I really didn't say anything. Please don't misunderstand. If you want, I'll go door to door and explain. I'll tell them I was locked outside because I was out walking for my health, not because— Stop it! Michael cut in like he'd touched a live wire. If you go explain, it'll sound like you're admitting it. Just let it pass. Right now, the only thing that matters is my interview. Please, babe, don't go out so much these days. I'm afraid it'll mess with everything. I nodded instantly. The picture of obedience, setting my spoon down without making a sound. Voice soft as cotton. I understand. I'll stay home. I won't say anything else. The rest of dinner was as quiet as the sea before a storm. My father-in-law sniffled and scratched at his collar. My mother-in-law kept glancing at me while pretending to eat. Megan sipped her drink loudly, eyes glued to her phone, scrolling up and down the resident group chat, checking what people were saying about their family values. Michael sighed, placed a hand gently on my back, like he was offering comfort from above. All right, then. Once I pass the interview, everything will settle down. I smiled, bowed my head, and let my smile disappear into the soup bowl. The whole story was buried again. And the house key, of course, was never mentioned. But bad news spreads faster than the wind. In less than a week, everywhere my mother-in-law went, people were whispering. At the supermarket, she overheard murmurs behind her back. That's the family, the one where the daughter-in-law isn't allowed to have a house key. My father-in-law, who always cared about appearances, couldn't handle the stares from the neighbors and moved out to the suburbs, claiming the air's fresher out there. My sister-in-law was too embarrassed to show her face, hid out at a friend's place, and only came back occasionally to grab things. Only my mother-in-law remained steadfast, insisting she had to stay to help take care of us. But she was sly too. Once her reputation in the building was in shambles, she simply shifted territory to the next complex over, where she still went line dancing in the mornings and played bingo in the afternoons, laughing and chatting like nothing had ever happened. I watched her and felt both amused and unnerved. Her ability to adapt was truly impressive. Then came the day of Michael's bank management interview. It was scheduled for Saturday morning. For days beforehand, my mother-in-law had been carefully ironing his new suit, pressing every sleeve seam, spraying it with cologne. That morning, he got up early, hair slicked back, tie straightened, face glowing with confidence. Before he left, he stood in the living room and declared like he was giving a speech. Mom, honey, after 2 years of hard work, today's the moment that matters. But I've got complete faith. Just wait for the good news. I looked at him, smiled sweetly. eyes full of admiration, making sure he saw the supportive wife image he so craved. He beamed, proud. My mother-in-law clutched his hand emotionally, her voice catching. Michael, you're the pride of this family. I'll cook a big dinner tonight to celebrate. After that overly dramatic mother-son bonding scene, Michael left in his suit, and my mother-in-law gleefully headed off for an outdoor team building picnic with her dance crew. Once the door shut, the house went quiet. Just the ticking of the clock and the lingering scent of fabric softener in the air. I was about to head upstairs to change when I noticed a strange piece of paper on the vanity. I walked over, looked closer, and nearly laughed. It was Michael's bank development plan, the document he absolutely needed for the interview. If he forgot it, his promotion would be canceled entirely. I sat down, chin in hand, reading each line, an indescribable feeling swelling in my chest. Something so important, and he forgot it. The bank was 30 minutes away. If he realized soon enough, he could still make it. But just a few minutes late, and everything would collapse. I looked at the clock. 7:35. His interview was at 8:10. I smiled gently, stood up, and walked out with my bag. At 8:02, my phone rang. I didn't even need to check. Michael's panicked voice burst through. Honey! I left the document at home. Please bring it. Quick, I'm running out of time. He barked the command without the slightest concern that I was on my way to catch the subway for work. I feigned confusion. How? Didn't you pack it in your bag? Must be in there somewhere. No! I'm sure. I checked it 3 times, but I must have left it on the vanity when I went to the bathroom. His voice was frantic, gasping for air. I answered quickly, acting flustered. Okay, don't worry, I'll turn back now. I was just waiting for the train. I hung up and stayed put, leaning against the park railing, watching the early sun filter through the trees and scatter across the pavement. Less than 2 minutes later, my phone rang again. Babe! Mom's not picking up. She probably left her phone on silent again. Please take an Uber home and bring it here. Otherwise, I'm doomed. I strolled calmly through the park, slow footsteps, voice casual. Okay, I got it. On the other end, I heard him suck in air like he was burning up. From that point, the messages flooded in. Where are you now? Hurry, 15 minutes left. I begged them to wait a bit. I let my phone buzz in my bag, smiling as I walked. Maybe this was the first time he understood what it felt like to be locked out, waiting in a panic while the key was in someone else's hands. 10 minutes later, I pretended to be out of breath as I picked up the phone. I'm at the building gate, about to head in. Hang on, okay? His voice was almost a scream. Hurry! If you don't, everything's ruined. I said okay softly and hung up, looking up at the sky, turning a pale gray. The phone kept ringing, once every minute, every message the same. Where are you? Hurry up, I'm begging you. I sat on a park bench, laid the phone face down, leaned back, and listened to the breeze whispering through the trees. I'd never felt the world this peaceful before. 10 minutes later, just as I was about to report my progress, the phone rang again. This time, my voice wasn't rushed. It was trembling, pathetic. I don't have the key. And I can't reach your mom. Hearing that, Michael sounded like he was about to break. His voice cracked, came out in pieces. I glanced at the clock. It was exactly 9 a.m. That was it. The interview was over before it even began. I gave a faint smile, stood up, and called a locksmith. That smart lock hadn't opened anything in months, except for their collective arrogance. Near noon, Michael finally dragged himself home. His tie was crooked, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. The moment he stepped in and saw the empty space where the smart lock used to be, he let out a dry laugh. A bitter, exhausted, hollow laugh. The packet of documents still sat untouched on the table. He collapsed onto the bed, face buried in a pillow, saying nothing, not even looking at anyone. I stood quietly by the doorway, not with pity, just relief. In the afternoon, my mother-in-law returned from her team-building session, hands full of groceries, beaming. Michael, I got everything we need for tonight's party to celebrate your promotion. But the laughter died the second she saw the scene. Door lock sawed off, sun collapsed. Where were you? Michael roared, voice breaking like shattering glass. I called you over and over. Why didn't you pick up? Do you have any idea how badly you ruined my day today? She froze, clutching the plastic bag so tightly the crinkling echoed in the silence. When I explained what had happened that morning, she dropped to the floor, face pale as paper. But Michael didn't hold back. His rage burst like a dam. Enough! This is all your fault. Why do you always meddle in our lives? If it weren't for you, I'd have made it today. Do you even understand how long I worked for this? And why the hell didn't you let me give her a key? This house belongs to both of us. The veins in his forehead bulged. His voice warped. My mother-in-law trembled, spoke in despair. I just wanted what's best for you. I wanted her to know who really holds power in this house. Once she gives birth, then she'll truly be part of the Carter family. I stood there silently for a moment, then laughed. A dry, echoing laugh that made the whole room fall silent. I slowly stepped forward, my voice calm. Michael, let's get a divorce. He whipped around, eyes wide like I'd lost my mind. Just because I missed one interview, you want a divorce? Susan, are you really that shallow? I looked him straight in the eyes, voice cold as steel. Michael, drop the act. There are several key fobs in this house, so why was I the only one without one? Did you think I was that stupid? Both he and his mother froze. She stammered. Susan, don't overthink this. I just found the extra key fob recently. If you'd just asked me, of course I would have given it to you. I let out a bitter chuckle. I'm not deaf. I heard everything Michael roared, stepped toward me, grabbed my shoulders and shook me. You knew about the smart lock all along, didn't you? Why didn't you say something sooner? If you'd just asked earlier, I wouldn't have missed my interview. You ruined everything. His eyes were red, breath hot against my face. I pushed him off, voice sharp as iron. Don't you dare blame me. You just want to shift your failure onto someone else so you can feel better, right? Forget the smart lock. What about this house? Every renovation, every piece of furniture, every little detail. Did you ever ask what I wanted? Have you ever once respected me? The nails randomly stuck into the walls, the hooks all over the kitchen, the leaky bucket you never replaced, your relatives going through my stuff without asking. Every bit of it suffocates me. I'm done. I turned and walked out. The door clicked shut behind me, quiet as the final breath of a dying marriage. I'd already packed my most important belongings that morning, right after the locksmith left. A small moving truck waited downstairs. The driver helped load my suitcase, sunlight glinting off the side of the van. When Michael got home, he was too consumed by despair to notice the empty closet. When I walked out, they still hadn't reacted. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. That night, Michael called endlessly, messages flooding the screen. I'm sorry, please come home. Mom was wrong, I was wrong. But I'd blocked him. I handed the divorce proceedings to my lawyer. No yelling, no crying. I signed each page calmly, like crossing out a useless clause in an old contract. After that, he lost his mind, showed up at my office, hunted down my best friend. But it was useless. I'd already requested an overseas assignment for 6 months, with leave tacked on. I left without a word, like I'd never existed in their world. I refused to meet, refused to reconcile, even ignored my own parents' advice. After a lifetime of being their doormat, this was the first time I stood up straight. No grand reason, just that I realized, even a rented apartment gives me freedom. I can come home when I want, sleep as late as I like, clean, or leave the place messy without anyone commenting. I can blast music, order takeout at midnight, or hang pictures on the wall without asking permission. I don't have to read anyone's mood. I don't have to wait for anyone to unlock a door. That kind of freedom, simple as it is, feels extraordinary. I stood by the window in my new place, looking down at the street. The last light of day stretched across the tiles like a line of lipstick closing the final chapter. Wind brushed through my hair, carrying the scent of coffee from the cafe downstairs. I smiled. Some doors, only when they're locked shut, do you realize you've been standing outside them for far too long? And some lives, only when you finally walk away, do you actually begin to open.